Okay, hello everyone. This is your teacher, Mr. Strelekis, and here's kind of a go-through of how to do the Strisk game we made in Python in class in JavaScript. So to say that again, we made it in Python in class. Here's us making it in JavaScript. First, I'll just take you through what we have of the game so far. So first, ask for a name. I'll give it Strisk. Submit. So alright, as we saw in our JavaScript application, which is again on eCampus, which as I've said a few times in class, it is on eCampus under starting the program, week 3. So just like in that one, it says hello, welcome, says its name, says your person's name, asks what you'd like to do, tells you how much money and how many widgets you have. For those of you who maybe haven't figured out the premise to Strisk yet because you haven't checked out the design document, the premise to it is that you buy widgets using Strill points, and then you sell them, and you just try to make as much money as possible before quitting. So right now I only have the buy feature working, so that's how many will I buy. I say maybe like 50, and then it uses a certain algorithm to decide how much it is. The algorithm's a little broken, but I don't really care, so we're going to buy it anyway. Tells me it's bought. There we are. Now my money's gone down by 7 because that's how much it costs. No, that's not really fair, but that doesn't really matter. Again, we'll go and buy another 50. This time it'll be 41. So it's using random numbers, so sometimes it's going to be a big, really great deal. Other times it's going to be awful. That's just how it is. And notice that my money's now gone down 48 points, and my widgets have gone up 100, which is fine. Now you'll notice that sell, we'll ask him what I sell, and I'll try to sell something and it won't do anything. So let's go through what we have so far in this. I'll show you briefly. This is what the HTML file looks like. If you need a good thing to start with, this is the kind of thing you start with. Notice how, just like in Python, I have divvied up my methods among multiple files. And in this case, I had to import them with scripts. If you've been working in JavaScript in my class, I'm imagining that you've already done some HTML, and so this doesn't need to be retaught to you. If you are very unfamiliar with this, again, I am really recommending that you go into Python instead, just because that is a much better beginner's language. But anyways, so I have an output box, a break line, an input, and a submit button. Honestly, I'm not sure. It's been so long since I did actual web design that I'm not sure if my code here is good. It works. I don't know if it's good or not, and I don't much care. So let's focus on the JavaScript stuff. So as always, what you should do is have a very clean main method. Note it, or main file. Notice all I've really done here is I have this main function and I have this menu. They don't do much more than that. Now, you might notice this write command. The write command is what allows us to actually write all this to the screen, because JavaScript doesn't really function so well on its own. We have to use these things. Now, write is not a thing that's natively in JavaScript. It's something that I added, which we can see. Well, if you're taking a guess of which file, main, submit, or writer, I'm hoping you can guess it's writer. So notice this is how it works. The write function takes some text and then puts it to the output box that I made and puts a break line at the end. So it's if we're outlining it, here I'm going to go ahead and give it an outline. You can see that that's our output box there. And when I give it a name to use, it'll write everything in. So it says hello, and then our menu always functions by saying hello, welcome, blank. What would you like to do? Displays the totals, and then says what they would want to do. So again, you see that right there. Displays totals, enter options. And you might be wondering why I did this slash and the quotes. Well, without the slash, you notice that, That's a quote symbol. Well, our backslash is an escape sequence for when we want to print out quotes. So if you do backslash quote, it'll print out just a quote on its own and won't break out of our bigger quotes to the right method. So that right there is immediately an abstraction. I'm going to put it here. Right is an abstraction because instead of having to write out all this every time, we can just simply write this. Or when we look at the new line part, that's also an abstraction. Now these aren't really complex abstractions. We'll look at some better ones that will be much better for using for the create task. Near the end of the when we get to that part, around the end of the quarter. A better abstraction would probably be something like the submit method, or things like that. But these are technically abstractions themselves. So like new line involves 3 lines which work with whatever number we give it. Now we haven't gone into functions yet. Into iterations yet. So you might not really understand what's happening there. But basically, this is what's called a loop, and it's going to write blank space, write blank, ev for however many times x. So if I give it 3, it's going to do 3 new lines, because the writer prints out a new line every time. And if you give it blank text, well, it's going to print out nothing plus, a line break for however many times of x we have. So that allows us to have easier times of printing everything. Display totals. Another one, basically, another abstraction, technically, because again, instead of having to write these every time, we have them just right there. You don't need to worry about what display totals does. If we started having 100 resources, you don't really need to worry about how they're actually printed, because you know display totals works. Alright, so let's go on. I have this submit button. And every time we press the submit button, giving it something, like buy, it's going to go ahead to, as you might have guessed, the Strisk submit JavaScript file. And it's going to go right to the submit button. Now there's only one function in here, and we're going to go ahead and change that around to make it a little easier to read through. In fact, let's go and do that now. So right now, buy asks for how many widgets we're going to buy, and that's it, because we still have to wait for it to submit something. But it will make it so that way our on cell, which is a global variable, which tells us what part of the program we're in, is equal to buy, so that the next time we hit that submit button, like we do now, it'll go into the submit function, it'll see on cell is not main, it'll see selection didn't say buy, it was a 3, also wasn't cell, and then it looks down here and goes, okay, well on cell is actually equal to buy, because we set it equal to buy up here. So, might be a little tricky to get, but basically every time I hit submit, I'm going back into this function, and if I'm currently on the selection of buy, it's going to come in here and say, okay, well, on cell is buy, so let's go ahead and actually get what they have. So selection right here is equal to whatever I've typed into here. So it's going to look at that, and it's going to turn it into an integer. This parseInt function, which I did not write, it is included in JavaScript, transforms whatever's in here into an integer, a whole number, just in case, well, just because selection on its own might not really be considered a number yet. In fact, it won't be. So then it gets our cost formula, which is equal to 5 plus the number of widgets subtracted by the random number between 0 and the number of widgets, which is gotten by here. If I'm going to add this part in, that right there would be through, with that as an upper bound, and that as a lower bound, basically. And it tells us how much it will cost. In this case, it's tell it how many we'll buy. So it'll tell us how many it will cost. That's what's happening right here. That's what we will, and then changes the on cell to be confirmed by. which would be down here. Then it returns. So we don't actually go to confirm by yet. We have to wait till we hit submit. So if they were to say yes, it will say, okay, subtract the money, add the widgets, and tell them they're bought it. And if that works, which it does, it changes our money and changes our widgets. So that's how that one works. And let's go and start abstracting a few things. This is one part you'd immediately think of for abstracting. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I'm going to do this in a separate file, so that way we can submit thing cleaner. We're going to call this calculations. Strisk calc. JavaScript. Alright, and I'm going to say function by. It's that. And it should take num of widgets. So it passes it that. I'm going to actually just take all of this stuff out of here. Cost and their value are both global variables, so we don't need to worry about them as we move them. And I'm just going to call the by method. So those are the first things I put in there. And that'll set everything. Now, we just moved something from here to there. And notice, I replaced these 4 lines with this call to it. And I'm going to change this that way these two match. I'm going to pass it selection, because remember, selection is whatever was in our input box. And so since it was whatever is in our input box, it's probably like a 4 or a 20 or, I don't know, 1,000 even. And so that's going to be passed. The value of whatever that was is going to be passed to this variable. So this new variable we just made is going to be equal to 5 or 20 or 1,000, whatever the users put in. And it's otherwise going to work the same way, and it's going to change cost because cost is a global variable. And now our submit function is actually much cleaner. It has those 4 lines gone because they're handled somewhere else. They're handled where you'd expect calculations to be handled. That's the other great thing about naming them in a smart way, because now they're going to be handled where they should be handled. And it's easier to find your stuff. And notice now we only have 53 lines. So a big part of incremental development is once we've made a change, like we just did, we're going to go back and we're going to test it. So I refresh my page, start from the beginning, what is my name, Kev, and then tells me what's up. I say buy. Now buy worked before. So let's see if it still works. I'm going to say I want to buy 43 widgets. Okay, we get an error. So let's figure out why we got that problem. So we got our problem after hitting buy, and after we're going ahead and put in the number of things we want to. So on cell is currently buy, so we're in here, and we go right into this one. Now, I know what the error is, but why don't you go ahead and pause the video and think about what the error is. Okay, if you paused it, didn't pause it, I don't know. But the error is it can't find strisk.calc.javascript. The reason is because we haven't put it in. This HTML file has to have all of the scripts in there, and that's just something you're going to have to remember, is to always add it to there. Of course, with enough time to me telling you that, you'll probably have that. Yeah. And again, this code's available to you. You can see it, and I'll probably also give it to you. I'll vary campus or something. So yeah, that's in there, and so now all 4 files are in there. So now let's do it again, and I'm going to say my name is Strickle, whatever, good enough. Buy 32 tells me how much it will cost. I say yes, I will buy, and it bought, and it works. I got 32 new widgets for 15 stroke points. Pretty easy, right? And it looks nicer too. Let's do some other things. Let's make some more abstractions, because let's just have a lot of fun with this one. All right. So, see anything else we could do? Well, yes, I do. These. Well, actually, Let's skip those abstractions. Let's make cell work, because cell looks really lonely. And I've just put in a to-do statement to say, hey, let's finish it. So let's go ahead and start some selling. Selling is going to be pretty similar to buying. So our buy method set on sell to buy and then asks how many they'll buy. Our sell method sets on sell to sell and asks how many they'll sell. Easy so far. Let's go down here. It's going to be pretty similar to buy, so I'm actually going to go ahead and copy that code. So it's going to, instead of buy, it's going to sell this time, and it'll tell us how much we will gain. So you would make blank show points on that sale. Will you sell? And then I'm going to change confirm buy to confirm sell. So this is a nice way of reusing our submit function. It's not exactly parameterization like we learned because we don't have any parameters, but it is a similar concept that we're able to reuse the same function for multiple parts of the problem. Now, of course, we have an issue here. One, we have missed our M. I'll get it right. There we are. And we have no handle confirm cell yet. Also, we don't have a cell yet. So let's go ahead and actually put in our cell. As you might imagine, like the other calculations, we put in nothing here to say to do add confirm cell. Alright, so that's just a note for me to remember. Again, you, the programmer, are one of your audience members for your comments. But anyway, so let's go ahead and actually make our cell method. So just like the buy method, function, it should be in here. And it's going to be pretty similar. But let's check our design document to see again what it was. Okay, our cell function said x minus y, where x is the number of widgets, so that's the same still. But y is a random number between 0 and the number of widgets divided by 2. So this one's going to be between 0 and x divided by 2. Make sure all of our parentheses are in there. So that allows us to actually handle this. And then our cost is just simply going to be that. Now, I know it says cost, but let's just pretend that means the cost for other people to buy our stuff. Since, you know, we're not really buying anything here, they're buying. One other thing, I know it's making it look like this means the lower bound, but that's not technically what's happening. What happens, and I have here, discuss math random JavaScript. You're not, I'll just tell you about it. Alright, so math.random returns a random number between 0 and 1. But it won't actually return a 1, it'll be like 0.99999. And when you multiply that by a number like 10, well, that means it's going to be between 0 and 9. Or 0 and 10, kind of. Again, the 9.9999 repeating. And when we do the parse int, we turn it into an integer, which again is a whole number. So then we change it from being like 0 through 9 point something to being just 0 through 9. Then if we add a number onto it, we would go from 0 to 9 to 1 to 10, because we added a number onto it. So that's really what's going on there. So that's what's happening there. Again, if you're just trying to get 0 through 100, not including 100, you'll have no problems thinking of it as being upper bound and lower bound, but it's not technically that. You may ask me if you have more questions about that. Otherwise, we're going to go on. Alright, so let's make sure our cell actually works. Hello, what is your range? I'm never really spelling this right, am I? Alright, so let's see what cell does. How many widgets we sell? Good so far. 3. You'll make 3 strill points in that sale. Will you sell? Yes. And it doesn't work because we're not there yet. But that's awesome. We just tested that, and it works. And now, if we were to make the confirm sell button, confirm sell option, and there was some broken part, we would know the error was in there, and that this part was just fine. That's the real benefit of doing this. Let me check if we have enough time, because I don't want to take too long with this. Yeah, it's been about 20 minutes. So, confirm sell is going to be basically the same thing. Just add the cost and subtract the value. And write sold. Well, okay. I'll go ahead and give you that. And we'll confirm sell. If it's confirm sell, if we say yes, then add that much, subtract that much, and say sold. And that'll actually pretty much complete our game, so we're going to do that. The buy 46. Gosh, it's 12. It's a good day. I say yes, I will. I bought it. And then I'm going to sell about 30 of them. It says I'll make 26 strill points. I say yes, I will sell. And boom, I've made money. Alright, perfectly good. There's no quit function yet. Well, no handling for quit. We don't see any examples of parameterization exactly, other than just we can write with multiple types. Otherwise, we don't see a lot of that. But we do see a lot of abstractions. We've seen parameterizations in class. This example might just focus a little more on abstractions through JavaScript. And you'd probably continue abstracting this just to make it a little nicer. Maybe even have multiple, maybe even like just change the whole thing of like, you know, if on sale is buy, get rid of all of this, replace it with a function somewhere else. Because this is currently 64 lines, and, well, that's a lot. You know, it'd be nicer if we could just export everything out to other files. That's the big thing, is to outsource as much code as possible to other files and other functions, because then it makes your code a lot easier to read. Right now, if I have a question about how we determine the buy or sell price, I should pretty well figure out it goes to calc. And look at that, there's a buy function, there's a sell function. Hopefully I'm smart enough to figure out which one does which. So that's why we name things like we do. That's why we export things like we do. And it just makes your code a lot more intelligent. So that is the basic Strisk thing. And this might not look very fair, but life's not fair, and this game rewards you for being risky. You're more likely to make a killing by buying a lot at a time and then selling a lot at a time. And there I am, having far more money than I started off with, because I bought big and sold. Actually, the best way to do it is to buy big and sell small. I'm pretty much just going to play with this for a little while longer, so you can go if you like. Or you can see the insanity of Strisk. This will make you more upset. If this is a multiplayer game, you would hate the people you play with even more than if you just played Risk. So notice that right there. This is actually a little bit of a functionality of Strisk. I bought 60 at a time for 1 strill point per 10 widgets, and I sold them for 1 strill point each. That's a really good deal. In fact, if you were to do sell and just sell 1 at a time, you would just make a killing. But anyways, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Hope you enjoyed it, and hope you got a little more Java knowledge under your belt. Have a good one.